jimbor zordan yumi jang loner monum jimbor ngagyatta daltar ngam santo shirmando tumba tuje janla ki shawam sar 好，我前面跟本师释迦牟尼佛以深刻以三门恭敬的方式来做定念。之后的话呢，我们园区的学生、老师以及跟在座的各位呢，就今天做佛教方面的开始。
Well, first of all, I would like to, or I did start with this speech by paying homage to the Buddha Shakyamuni by offering my body, speech, and mind. And now I'm going to start the speech to the students and our teachers here.
今天呢，我们马拉维这边的学校，也就是说14年以来创办的这个学校，这个学校呢，现在已经变成了非常大的规模，然后这是一方面是李师傅，还有我们的在座的各位义工和各位老师的贡献就分不开的。另一方面的话呢，我们当地的很多老师和很多义工的就工作也是分不开的。
So today we're here at this Malawi campus. This is the campus that's been established for 14 years. And for this kind of establishment, it cannot be separated with the contribution that has been given by the Malawi volunteers and teachers as well as Master Hui Li. So we're here today is only because of all the contribution that's made by all these people.
今天我们在座的各位呢，主要是高年级的学生，也是各位优秀的老师，一起就今晚上利用大概1个小时的时间呢，跟大家做个简单的交流。
In our audience today, there are the students, rather senior students from this campus as well as the excellent teachers over here. We'll have about 1 hour tonight to have a simple discussion.
交流完了以后呢，我准备给大家念一个佛子行37颂的传承，因为这个法呢，非常的重要。每个人在每一个国家、每一个地区呢，都会生菩提心，就能这个地方的人呢，就是能生菩提心。所以我去每一个国家和每一个地区的时候呢，都有这部37颂来给大家加持和就是给大家赐予吉祥。
After the speech tonight, I will give the oral transmission of 37 practices of Bodhisattva. This is quite an important teaching because by listening and practicing on this teaching, you could give rise to the mind of compassion, the mind of bodhicitta. It is quite important. Therefore, doesn't matter wherever you come from, whichever region you're in, doesn't matter wherever I go and whichever country I go, it gives the transmission and teaching on the 37 practices of Bodhisattva.
今天呢，早上一早就出去到监狱里面去讲课，然后又去师范学校去讲课，然后现在呢给同学们讲课的话呢，我本身是有点累，但是呢不管怎么样这是我们这个日程当中已经有安排的，然后我如果睡着的话呢，就是希望同学们提醒我、叫醒我。
This morning, I went to prison to give a speech over there, and in the afternoon, I went to Teachers College to give a talk over there as well. So, right now, I'm feeling a bit tired. Therefore, if I were to fall asleep, please do wake me up.
我是第一次来，这个马拉维，15年的时候，当时，这边的这个园区呢邀请过我。但是因为当时时间关系没有来得成，这次来了以后呢，我有很多方面的感触。就第一方面的感触呢，就确实是我们这里的资源非常丰富，不管是农田也好，矿产也好，植物也好，这些方面的资源非常非常的丰富。然后我们这边的人性呢，非常淳朴、善良、亲近、忠厚。
This is my first time to Malawi. Back in 2015, I was invited to this campus, but due to time constraint, I couldn't make it. So this is really my first time here. But first time being here, I've already had quite a few impressions. For example, the first one is that there's so much rich resources over here. And the second one is that I'm quite impressed by how kind and pure and grounded people are over here.
但是，在这里缺少，现在全世界应用的很多科技技术，同时呢，在这里也缺少，就教育的这种。应该就提升教育的这些理念，所以这里呢的确是也与众不同的有一些感触。
Another impression I have over here is that there is indeed a lack of technology, the advancement of technology, and another one is the lack of value for putting importance on education. Therefore, after seeing all this situation here, I do have some very different feelings.
你们在座的学生，应该说是在将来的这个日子当中，有很大程度的这种优势，因为你们从小受到了。马来亚当地的这个语言和这个文化，同时也受到这个英语方面的教育。更重要的呢，你们大多数的会懂得现在的这个中文汉语，这个是对当前来讲，是英语和汉语，如今在这个全球化的今天呢。是不管是弘扬自己的传统文化，还是自己在生活的过程当中呢，这两个语言是非常的重要。
Well, the students right now over here in our audience, you have quite a bright future and you're quite important in the future and you have lots of advantages in the future because you've learned your different culture, different subjects over here. On top of that, what's really important is that you learned the language of English and Chinese language, which are the two major and two most important languages to use in the globalization that we have today.
我也是跟你们的同学和老师呢，3年以来一直有交往的，包括我们世界佛教青年研讨会的时候呢，已经邀请过你们这边的学生，包括今年在内，第3次，第1次和第2次的时候呢，我也在泰国的清迈，就跟你们的同学呢也一直有交流。那么今年呢，因为特殊原因，我没有参加成世青会，但是你们的同学呢，参加的人也很优秀，所以我想 我们在3年以来的因缘而言的话呢，实际上彼此都一直很珍惜的，保护这种因缘。
Well, I did meet some of the teachers and students before, and I even invited them to the World Youth Buddhist Symposium. This year is the 3rd year that I invite them to the World Youth Buddhist Symposium. In the past on the first and the second time, I invited them to Chiang Mai, Thailand. I got opportunity to communicate and talk to them. However, this year, due to special conditions, I couldn't really make it to the symposium. Therefore, I didn't really get to meet the students who went to participate this year. However, I did hear those students are quite excellent.
通过这几年的跟我们的非洲孩子，以及老师接触的过程当中呢，我发现其实你们学知识非常容易，应该不低于任何的亚洲也好，美洲也好，或者说大洋洲也好，就是这些的人，甚至在有些上面的话呢，你们的这种聪明，就是也可以说是敏锐的智慧呢，过于很多民族的人。从历史上看的话呢，就我们这边阿弗加这边的话呢，有非常多的对整个全球有贡献的人，就是出现的比比皆是。这样一来的话呢，只要我们有各方面的学习的因缘和学习的这种条件的话呢，我想你们的智慧呢，完全能跟得上，就是世界上的每一个有智慧的人。
Students and teachers from Africa, I find that it's very easy for you to study. It's very easy for you to learn. In fact, your ability to study is not any less than people from America, from Asia, from Australia, and so on. In some aspects, I think your wisdom really surpasses lots of people from different ethnics and different countries. For many of the famous celebrities and the famous people who made a contribution in this world are indeed came from Africa. Therefore, I think with the sufficient conditions, your wisdom could be really important to make a difference, to make changes to this world.
我一直这次到了这里以后呢，此时此刻感觉得到，我们在这里呢有这样的一所学校是非常非常的重要。如果没有这所学校的话呢，你们在座的各位不要说学什么其他国家的语言文字，你们可能连自己的这种生存的将来就是成了一定的问题。所以你们也是你们将来长大之后的话呢，你们也会感觉得到培养你们的这些人，对你们付出的这些人呢，应该说也许他们还在实践当中，也许他们早已过世了，但不管怎么样，那个时候你会深深的感觉得到他们给你们留下来的恩德和给你们留下来的这种真正的精神上的财富。
So when I'm actually over here, I really feel the importance of this school, because let's imagine without this school, how can you learn all these different languages? Not even talking about these languages, it's probably going to be very difficult for you to survive in this world. Therefore, maybe after you grow up, you will finally be able to realize all these people who made a difference in your life, all these people who helped in nurturing you to grow up. you will have a sense of very deep gratitude towards them. Maybe at that time they are still alive, and maybe not.
我们这里长期支持的人呢，都不用说，但是也比较短的时间当中来带领大家的人呢也非常多的。我听说这里大概有100来人吧，100来人的这个教职工、教职和老师，其中有些人呢已经在这里做志愿，做义工，已经有的8年了，有的5年了，有的3年、4年、2年等等，有不同时间的。那么这些人呢，长期就待在这样的一个资源匮乏，然后有各种各样的不安全因素的地方的话呢，我觉得这是一个非常了不起的伟大的这种菩萨精神。
There are, of course, people who stayed here for a very long period of time, and there are people who are staying here for a very short period of time. Nevertheless, over 100 people are here working as a team. The teachers, the volunteers from different places, they all work over here together. Some of them stayed here for over 8 years, and some for 5 and 3 and 4 and 2 years. No matter what, to have such courage to stay here where there's a lack of material goods and provisions, there's maybe a lack of security from time to time. I think to have such a spirit of staying over here and contribute, that's a spirit of Bodhisattva.
包括今天的话呢，在这里澳洲团队也好，还有来自其他地方的一些长期对我们这个学院支持的这些人，其中有些人的话呢，一直长年累月的就关心我们这个学校，那么有些人呢这样长期待下去的话呢，我觉得非常难得。如果让我的话，我暂时在关心这边。短的时间我是可能应该是可以的，但是让我住大概1年、2年、3年这样的话呢，我个人的是也观察过自己的内心，也许在这样的一个地方让我当义工，或者说让我当志愿团队来做长期带下去的话，也许有一定的困难，所以我从自身的角度来衡量的时候呢，确实在这里面的很多老师也好，抚养你们的爸爸妈妈也好，他们是非常不容易的，因此你们永远应该存有一个深深的这种感恩之心。
The volunteer teams and supporters, including the ones from Australia over here today, and the longtime supporters and people who show lots of care to you for a long period of time. It's really rare, it's quite precious. Even for people who stay here for a very short period of time, for 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, and so on, I think that's really courageous still, because I myself have looked into my own mind and asked myself, what if to give me such an opportunity to stay here for a short period of time, to stay here for 3 years, would it be possible? I think it's possible for me to stay here for a short period of time, but for such a long period of time, it would be very difficult. So my point is to have such gratitude towards the teachers and volunteers who show such care, and for the parents who show such care to all of you, you should have a mind of gratitude.
之后我们在座的各位呢，应该从早上大概6、7点钟开始，一直学到晚上很晚，而春天呢，大家都是沉溺在一个学习的这样的这种气氛当中吧，就沉浸在这样的学习的气氛中。那么这样的学习呢，对我们每一个人来讲呢，是非常难得的，而且呢，必须要经过这样的学习， 刻苦钻研来这个度过自己的这种童年。如果我们童年的时候没有很好的去学习，甚至没有读书的这种机会的话呢，那你的这一生人生的话呢，就会处于一种悲哀的状态当中，也是处于一种无用的状态当中。
I know you get up really early in the morning and all the way from 6 o'clock till really late at night. You spend the majority time of your day in studying, in participating in different studying activities. This is quite difficult to do. This is very rare to be able to do that. So you should hold such a kind of attitude to cherish this time and to study diligently, because this is the time for you to study, to fully utilize the time as a youth to study. If you don't spend such time to study, then maybe later on when you get older, you will feel useless, and you would feel rather upset about wasting such a precious period of time in your life.
虽然不管是读小学也好，读中学也好，读其他的一些高中、大学等等，这个学习的经历呢，并不是特别的束缚，让人比较郁闷，或者说是让人感觉很痛苦、很吃力。但是呢，它是在人生过程当中不可缺少。
Doesn't matter if you're in primary school, in secondary school, or in university, study is not something that is easy. Study is something you have to invest your time and energy. It may not be something fun. It probably sometimes feels very difficult and from time to time really makes you anxious and so on. But this is normal. This is the period of time this is how trying and putting effort into study feels like.
没有读过书的人呢，我们不用说给整个社会做出贡献，对整个人类就做有意义的事情，甚至连自己的一家人的家庭的这种维护，或者说是对家庭的非常健康的要做下去的话呢，这也是有一定的困难。包括你们的可能父母啊，你们的爷爷奶奶啊，这些的话呢，也许是当时因为条件的原因，他们没有读过书。正因为没有读过书的话呢，他们在这一生当中根本承办不了任何大的事情，连甚至很小的一件事情的话呢，他们是无能为力的。所以没有读书的这种过患也好，没有读过书的这样的这种这个痛苦呢，就是非常多的。
Well, without studying, without learning, you won't be able to make much contribution. Don't even talk about making contribution to the humanity, to the society. There's not much of a contribution that you can make to your own family. It's probably going to be very difficult for you to maintain a good family life, a healthy family life. Just look at maybe your parents or your grandparents who didn't study much. They really can't do much. They really can't change much. So there's a lot of the suffering that could come out of the lack of studying.
所以不管是你读小学、中学，凡是在这里的所有的8年也好、10年的话呢，我希望你们每一个人呢，一定要完成你所有的这个学业，中间呢千万不要辍学。如果辍学的话呢，你自己一生的所有的有意义的事情呢，全部都已经被白费了。因此，这样的这种读书，如果中间就不管你的亲友也好，你的朋友也好，包括你的父母的话呢， 让你不要再继续读下去的话呢，这种说法是完全是错误的建议。因此，谁的话都不能听。我以前也是在读书的时候呢，后来有些人给我提过建议，你就最好中间不要读了。我现在想起来，如果当时听这些人的话呢，那我一生当中就全部都就完了，就是没有一点的这种出息。所以说呢，我今天就是非常强烈的建议呢，你们有这样的机会的话呢，一定把所有的这个书呢，就全部要读完33周。
So, the primary school and secondary school, let it be 8 years or 10 years, doesn't matter how long it takes, finish your study, graduate from all these classes, from these grades. Don't give up in between. Because once you give up the opportunity of learning, once you give up such opportunity, you would lose the future of your life. Therefore, don't make such mistakes. Doesn't matter whomsoever is encouraging you to give up studying, let it be parents or your relatives or whomsoever is suggesting you to give up. Don't do that because it's a mistake. When I was going to school when I was young, there were people suggesting me to stop studying. And I'm really grateful that I didn't listen to them, because if I were to listen to them, that would mean that there would be no future in my life.
读书是也许并不是那么快乐，而且在这个过程当中也非常挣扎。有一个比喻，就像毛毛虫，它变成蝴蝶。非常困难的事情，但是呢，这是必须经过的。如果你没有经过这样的磨练的话呢，他的整个一生呢不完成的、不完美的。以前有一个小孩，他看到毛毛虫变蝴蝶的这个过程是非常艰难的。后来他把用剪刀来，就是想破开，就是他的整个的这个外包。最后的话呢，就是他孵出来的也是身体胖重啊，就很快的时间当中死去的。同样的道理，那么变成一个很美丽的蝴蝶的话呢，它中间的这个整个过程是就艰难的。我们变成一个有智慧的、有能力的人的话呢，那么我们在年轻的时候读书呢，是确实是。非常艰辛的，非常艰难的。但是呢，只要我们小的时候，就认真的读完就是相关的时间和还有相关的课程的话呢，那我们的人生呢，就是肯定是很美满的。
Well, studying may not be a very happy process. In fact, it could be very challenging, very difficult. You have to invest a lot of energy into it and strive. But this process is very necessary. This kind of process that requires such diligence is really necessary. Just like how a caterpillar, if a caterpillar wants to turn, or if a caterpillar turns into a butterfly, the whole process is rather painful for the caterpillar. So it comes out of the cocoon, out of had to use lots of energy to come out of the cocoon. A little child saw the process of a caterpillar coming out of the cocoon and became a butterfly, and the child thought, this is really painful, why don't I help the caterpillar a little? So that little kid used the scissors to cut open the cocoon, but that prematured the whole process of becoming a butterfly. And the caterpillar finally died and didn't really make it. The story tells us that we really have to go through a really painful and rather difficult process to become more matured. Let it be a caterpillar becoming a butterfly, or a young child becoming a wise person. So it's quite important to study. Study is not easy, but you need to take such time, especially when you're young, to go through that process. Therefore, put your diligence and your energy and effort into finishing the courses, finishing different classes. This will make your life perfect.
其实没有很好的读书的话，这是对一个人生来讲呢，不是很完美的。包括我自己的话，我的父亲和我的母亲呢，现在都已经过世了，但是从来的是不认识字，从来的一个字都不认识，连自己的名字都不会写。然后我还有弟弟和3个妹妹。其实他们呢也是没有读过书，所以像我们一家的话呢，就是除了我以外呢，就是都没有读过书，因此呢，包括我的这种妹妹啊、弟弟啊，他们的话承办一些大的事情的话呢，是有一定的困难，因此他们只能是依靠一种简单的方式来就是生活。我想我的家庭一样的。你们每一个人呢也是这样的，你们如果没有这样的读书的机会的话呢，也许你的人生是极其的迷茫，而且呢在这样的迷茫当中世世代代，也许你们的孩子的这个子孙，这些都是一种成了这个非常迷茫的一代。这样一来的话呢，从大的方面讲，我们整个人类的这种社会的发展啊、福祉啊，这方面就是根本就是无从说起。
Without studying, your life cannot be perfect. Just like how my parents, they do not know how to write or read. They've never went to school. They've never studied. They don't even know how to write their names. My young brother and 3 younger sisters, in fact, all of them didn't attend school. I am the only one in my family attended school. When I look at my family members, my younger brother and 3 younger sisters, I notice it's very difficult for them to succeed in complicated things, to do complicated things in their life. Therefore, they have to use very simple methods and live their life in a really simple way. So I think that's why we should study, so that we are not ignorant of the things that's around our lives, and we don't feel very confused in front of complicated things, unlike my family members. So if you don't study though, you would not only feel confused and ignorant around this world and in this modern society. In fact, your children, your grandchildren, your future grandchildren would also feel very much confused and ignorant, and this will pass on, and it would be a vicious cycle. So if your life continues to go that way, not even mentioning the contribution that you can make to your own life, you definitely cannot make any contribution to the humanity or to the society and so on.
因为你们很多学生呢，可能再过1年2年就即将毕业了。那毕业的话呢，还继续升学呢？还是留在自己的家乡，在自己的地方呢，就是继续做其他的事情。可能每一个人就是处于一种选择的十字路口。我也很关心，我最近跟我们的相关的老师跟他们也在商量当中。我不能所有的人都满足，但是呢，有个别的。比如说到其他的国家也好，包括你们自己国内的有一些，如果读大学啊，这些的话呢，我也如果各方面的因缘具足的话呢，也资助部分的这个学生，就是让他们就提供一些学费。我在这方面呢，如果各方面因缘具足的话呢，我也有一个想法。
Some of the students will soon be graduated over here, maybe in 1 or 2 years, and you're at the crossroad of your life. Some of you, I'm sure, would choose to go to universities, and some of you would go to your hometown, make contribution there or work there. And I was talking to some of your teachers. I was thinking about talking about your possible choices in the future. In fact, I care a lot about the different choices that you probably would make. I know it's not possible for me to suffice everyone's hopes and wishes, but with permitting conditions and with auspicious coincidences, maybe if there are students who can go to universities over here in this country or in other countries, I myself can help in supporting them in terms of the tuition fee and so on.
还有一个想法的话呢，如果各方面的因缘具足的话呢，在这个马拉维这个地方呢，能不能将来就建立一个学技术的就是学各种这个一技之长的，就是技能的这样的一种学校。如果有这样的这个学校的话呢，也许可能对你们当地的人来讲呢，还是有用的。因为我听说现在这里有些私立学校的话呢，在一个学期的话，可能是要这个大概按照我现在你们这里的这种钱的话呢，大概30万左右就是20-30万，这是我们一般普通的家庭是根本没办法就是提供的。然后公立的学校的话呢，我们很多人都很难以进去。那这样的话，我们相对而言就是跟大家压力不是很大的。这样的一种这个技术学院如果能建成的话呢，也许可能在这里当地有很大的这种帮助。当然这个是不管是人力也好，财力也好，这并不是什么很简单的事情。我昨天我们这里的这个几个非洲的学生和有些老师呢，也顺便聊了一下，他们都觉得是非常有必要的。如果有这样的话，可能跟当地的很多的将来的这种学生的前途呢有很大的帮助。让我跟这边的 ACC 的老师们呢也探讨了一下，他们是表示支持的，但是这个行动起来是非常不简单，就是所以说呢，我也在考虑当中。如果各方面的因缘具足的话呢，我想我们在这里呢，将来就是也可以一起推进，就关于这方面的事情。
Another project I'm thinking is to have a school. This kind of school that trains people in practical skills. I think is quite necessary and needed over here in this country. I've heard that there are private schools over here, but they charge a lot of tuition. Yearly, they would charge 200,000 to 300,000, which is definitely not possible for regular, normal families to pay. So I think it's quite important to have such a school that would teach students practical skills and different ways to use technology or techniques in your life. So I think that would help very much locally. But this is not an easy project. It needs lots of manpower and lots of wealth. So it's not really easy to do. I was having a conversation with some of African students and teachers. They all agree that this kind of school is quite necessary. I was speaking to the ACC teachers as well, and they all showed very supportive. They were very supportive in spirit. But we all know this is not an easy thing to do. So I'm still contemplating over this. With the good and right conditions, maybe it could be possible.
我们在座的学生和老师呢，一方面要借助别人的帮助和支持，来提升我们的知识和生活质量。但另一方面呢，应该自己要有一种创造性。如果自己没有创造性，整天的是靠天来生活，靠别人的资源来，或者的话呢，就是这是非常危险的事情。 现在有些地方、有些国家、有些人们的话呢，经常指望着就是有一些国际上的志愿组织啊，或者说是经常呢依靠一些慈善人士，依靠他们来就是生活、学习，全部都依赖他人。其实这样的整天都是想着依赖他人的这种想法呢，就是非常不合理。一定要依靠自己的双手和依靠自己的勤奋，依靠自己的这种劳动来，就是最后先就是维持自己的生活，同时的话呢，跟我们的身边的人呢也创造这个优良的条件。
The ACC students and teachers, I think it's important to receive supports from outside, to receive supports in terms of your studying as well as your life. But what I really want to say is it's even more important to be creative in creating things, into making changes. Don't just rely upon the weather so that you can have food. This is quite dangerous. Lots of countries, they nowadays, because they're so used to receiving supports, receiving money from other countries and other people, other philanthropists, and other international foundations, they lost the kind of ability to create wealth and create a good livelihood for themselves. So don't rely upon others. Rely on your own hands to create a good life.
如果我们永远靠别人的这种支持和支援的话呢，那这些支援团队一旦离开的话呢，我们就没办法生存。我个人而言呢，从小都是有一种创意。我小的时候呢，还没有上学的时候呢，我自己学裁缝。我会做我们民族的很多的服装，就是包括皮革啊、帽子啊、鞋啊，以及我们原来是穿的皮袄衣服。那么这些很多衣服的话呢，我当时大概是13岁之前，我会挨家挨户的到很多家里去给别人做。虽然我那个时候并不是收钱的，但是我会自己学，就是自己学做很多衣服。
Don't rely upon others. This is quite important because when you rely on people, they rely on those volunteers. What if they leave? After they left, then how do you maintain a good lifestyle? I myself, I think it's quite important to to be creative. When I was around 13 years old, I learned how to make clothes by myself, clothes of Tibetan clothings. At that time we were wearing leathers, so I know how to do those, and I know how to make shoes and hats. I would go to my neighbors and help them to make all those kind of dresses. So I think it's quite important that you learn and be very creative in your study, just like just like how I learned making clothes on my own.
我还学过铁匠，有一些小的，以前我们做的铝做的有些锅啊，铝做的一些腰穗的那个瓢啊，这些如果穿了洞的话呢，我会用我的那种工具来，就马上补上那个洞，就是我会做很多，包括以前有一些就叫做铁凿，就怎么说啊，就是有一种。但这个可能听不懂。反正我会做，还有我会做小的那种自行车一样的，就是我看到我们这里有些孩子也在用这个玩具。原来我们是那个电话线是一个很粗的电线，那么那个电线呢就是做成一个圆圈，然后另外有一个铁钩呢就是直接路上推的。那这样的话我会自己做，就是我自己也经常在路上这样跑，然后我给我的很多的小朋友呢也会做这样的玩具。所以我自己觉得呢，我小的时候呢还是有一些小的就是这方面的一些创意。
I also learned how to solder metal. Back at that time, we used aluminum pots and aluminum cookwares. So from time to time, it will break, and I know how to mend it by soldering. And I know how to make small objects out of metal, a small saw-like object. Also, at that time, we had some thick wire, cable wire, and I used those to make bicycle-like objects that I would play with them. And those kind of toys, it's a circle, and then I'd make a hook out of it, and I'd play with it all day long. So those kind of toys I used to make. So I think I would consider myself as rather creative.
现在也是这样的。以色列，犹太人很聪明的。我去年去耶路撒冷，耶路撒冷的话呢，当时很多犹太年轻人呢，全世界当中的很多的知识产权，包括有一些技术方面的一些各种不同的这些技术呢，掌握在他们手里。其实跟他们的有些年龄呢，跟你们完全相反的，但是他们呢，就每个人就是自己通过自己的智慧和头脑研究一些技术，然后这个知识产权呢，就是他可以卖给那个全世界各个地方来的一些企业家啊，就是有一些团队啊，就这样的。所以我想我们非洲的很多孩子的话呢，就是一定要自己有自己的这种创造性的意识，不管是你们本地这个养活和生存的技能也好，还有对这个世界和人类做出贡献的各种这种创作意识呢，就非常重要。
I went to I went to Jerusalem last year, and I noticed the Jewish people are very smart. They, in fact, have lots of the young entrepreneurs. They have the rights of knowledge or their technology rights, and they would sell them to big conglomerates or big financial groups and so on. That's how they would make money. Lots of those young Jewish entrepreneurs are some of them are roughly around your age. They're very creative and really smart in the things that they do. So be creative. Be creative not only in how you hold your livelihood, but be creative in all the things that you can do in this society.
我希望教他们的老师们的话呢，给他们要教育的过程当中，一定要给他们传递一个比较活力活现的、有运用性的一些知识。现在我看，在我们全世界的各个地方的有些老师呢，给他们讲的是完全是一种很死板的、很淘汰的一些知识。知识方式上呢，跟大家讲一讲。实际上，老师他自己也没有激情，没有活力，没有感觉，没有感染力。这是一个传统式的，就跟他讲一讲，就时间过了就完了，不能这样的。一定要老师本身呢，他自己有一些比较头脑清晰的头脑，然后呢，跟学生一起来研究某个领域，或者说将来我们在这个世界上可能会发生的很多事情，包括我觉得是马拉这个地方的话，将来国际上的很多的可能企业家来到这里，那这个时候呢，我们运用哪些知识，运用哪些技能？那么关于这方面呢，作为老师呢，一定要有掌握我们未来的这个良机。同时呢，我们这些学生们呢，应该活力活现的，将自己非常灵活的要运用自己的智慧。
Also, I hope that teachers over here could teach in a very skillful and practical way. You should teach your knowledge in such a skillful way so that the knowledge becomes vivid. I notice teachers around the world, some of the teachers, they teach the knowledge in a very old-fashioned way and very stagnant in the way they teach. And the knowledge is rather old-fashioned, and it's not really updated to this age. And on top of that, I noticed that some of the teachers are not really enthusiastic in the things that they do in the teaching career. Therefore, without such kind of enthusiasm in teaching, their words are not influential because it doesn't really touch the hearts of the students. It's really just a waste of the time. So I think teachers should spend time. They should spend time in studying different fields of knowledge themselves. They should have a clear mind. They should have wisdom. They should develop that first by themselves. And then they should really know the global events. In the future, I believe Malawi will welcome lots of the different investments and different happenings that will be coming into this country. So at that time, you should really know the current situation of the world, the happening events in this world, so that you know how to face them, so that you know what kind of knowledge and skills that you should use to face them. That's what I want to say, the skillful means of teaching.
最后呢，我跟大家提一下关于宗教的信仰方面的。你们在座的各位呢，应该是有佛教的这种信仰，而且你们的经常读诵当中呢，也有这个三皈依的戒。我想，你们一早就开始起来，念诵那个早晚课，还有呢，听说你们没有电的时候呢，也经常念阿弥陀经。那么还有可能其他宗教的，包括这个天主教的玫瑰经也好，还有伊斯兰教的这种什么可兰经，对，可兰经，还有我们基督教的这个圣经啊，就这些呢，也在将来的我们宗教课当中有这个设计的。那么这个对所有的宗教呢，不管你有没有信仰，大家一定要有一个非常开放的心态来包容，而且这样的这种心态呢，你们自己也要会懂得各个宗教的内容，否则的话呢，你们在这个地方呢，是比较特殊的地方。因此，你如果信仰佛教的话，可能你的家人啊，或者是别人都是有不同的看法。那在这种情况下，你要懂得佛教的内容是什么样，用佛教的眼光来看待其他宗教的话呢，其实是很多地方是不相违的、不抵触的。那么这个道理呢，我们也要会说得来。尤其是我们佛教老师的话呢，给他们应该要很认真的要讲课，而且这样的话呢，就是每一个学生都是要懂到佛教的知识，懂到宗教的知识。如果我们没有懂到这些知识呢，光是我们学一个其他知识的话，你们长大之后的话，虽然你在这样的一个教堂里面，你在这样的一个佛教的这种殿堂里面长大的，但是你到了一定的时候呢，可能你对佛教什么都不懂。我以前遇到过很多在西方呢，在基督教的教堂里面，在基督教的学校里面就是成长的，可是他们对基督教的教义呢一窍都不懂，就是这是非常危险的事情。我听说你们从释山啊、六波罗蜜多啊等等很多佛教的这种教义，这种教义呢不光是一个理论上，而且在实际的真正的道理上呢，每一个学生都必须要明白。
Well, my last point is on religion. I see that you grew up in this environment and adapt Buddhism as your faith. I know that you chant the refuge vows or taking refuge in the 3 jewels in the morning, and you have the early morning practice or early morning chantings and evening chantings. And when there's no power, you would chant the Amitofo Sutra and so on. On top of that, I know that you are studying different religions as well in your classes. I think this is quite crucial to be able to know the different religions. I know you also study the Rosarium from Catholic and and Bible from Christianity, it's quite important to know all these kind of the different classics from different religions. So I think this kind of classes are really important. And the knowledge that comes from different religions are very important because you live in a very special location, very special place where all different religions are happening over here, and the people from different religions are all mingle and live together. So it's quite important that you will be able to know all the different teachings from different religions and be able to see those teachings from a Buddhist point of view, so that you will see Buddhism, what Buddhism is teaching is really in harmony, and some of the teachings are really in harmony with other faiths and other religions. I think the cross-religious studies teachers should also be able to teach clearly on what the cross-religions, the different religions are, and the different knowledges in different religions. Because when you grow up in such a Buddhist environment, but not be able to know the knowledge, the deep knowledge inside this religion, that's really sad. I met some students from America. They grew up in Christian schools. They went to church when they were young, and they received the education in Christian schools. But they really don't know what Christian is. They really, when I ask them what the Christianity teaches, they really can't give me a sufficient answer. Isn't that pitiful? I know that nowadays you learn about the 10 virtuous actions and you learn about the 6 paramitas. It's quite important. This kind of study is very important. It's important to be able to know them in theory as well as in practice.
我的时间呢，就快没有了。然后我最后呢，就做个简单的，说一下，就刚才提到的。就是，我们可能在现在特殊的时代当中呢，应该有个别人呢，可能要有双重信仰的。比如说你是基督教的，那么你同时呢也是佛教徒，那么这一点应该是不会相违的。为什么基督教呢？它也是承认是有地狱啊，有天堂啊，就这样的。我们佛教也是这样的。那么基督教也是他承认这种爱啊、慈悲啊，就关爱众生啊、关爱我们人类啊这样的。所以我们在这个特殊时代当中呢，也许你们像这样的身份的人呢，在这个特殊的地方呢，应该是有可以双重信仰的。我个人的话呢，我第一个是我信仰佛教，但同时呢，我也会基督教也好，天主教也好，他们的很多的博爱的精神啊，他们的布施的这种心啊，这些都是我有信仰的。所以呢，就我们要可能在将来呢，就是在座的各位呢，应该有双重信仰的这样的一个特殊教徒。
My time is almost up, so I'd like to take this time to share a little more with you on having more than one religion, to have double religion, to have double faith, because we live in such a special time and such a special location, special place. So I think it's quite important to be able to recognize yourself as someone who have double religion, to have more than one religion. Just as in Christianity, where they say there is hell realm, there is hell and there is heaven. In Buddhism, we also say that there is hell realm and there is the celestial realm as well. On top of that, we also have the teachings on love and compassion towards human beings. We share that kind of teaching with Christianity as well. So, in such a special time, in such a special location, I think it is okay to have double faith, to have more than one religion. I myself am a Buddhist monk, but I also accept the love and the teachings on generosity from Christianity. I also learn from them as well. And therefore, my point is to have more than one religion is permitted in this special time and this special place.
最后一句呢，我想在座的各位呢，应该是非常荣幸的。虽然你们生长在比较特殊的这样的一个地方，但是呢，你们就亲眼见到这个佛陀的身像，也亲自呢。有机会就是学习，就是佛法方面的深深的发扬，同时呢，自己也是在行持六波罗蜜多当，很多佛法的这种行为，这是我们人生当中应该说是非常难得的。因此，每一个老师和每一个学生呢，希望好好的珍惜，好好的学习和好好的修行。
My last point is. To all of our audience sitting here, I think it's quite an honor to be able to study Buddhism at this very special place, very special country. You have such an opportunity to see the form of Buddha, to see the form of Buddha statue. You have a very special and rare opportunity to study the Buddhism texts. You have such a rare opportunity to practice the 6 paramitas in your daily actions. This is very rare. This is not easy to obtain in one's life. So the teachers and students over here, I really hope you cherish such opportunities.
今天你们听课的纪律很好。本来我还想说一些，但是呢，因为时间关系，我留到下一次。也许我马拉维这边呢还有一定的因缘，所以我下面呢就是只是给大家念这个传承，可能要几分钟，然后就我这次的因缘的话呢，就是还就留下来，就是因为今天我看你们的听课的这种纪律是非常专注。我在任何一个地方，就是如果听课的那个场合比较专注的时候呢，我很想讲。如果这个纪律不好的话呢，就是我规定的时间都不想讲，我有这个毛病。但今天呢，我想在座的各位，大家虽然时间比较短，但是这个态度很好的，也许我们可能有很多的因缘呢，以后再继续。
I really enjoyed your attitude, which is quite attentive, and you're very focused and quiet. So maybe, although today I don't have a very long period of time to continue to talk, but maybe we'll have next time. I have such a habit when I see the audience are very attentive and listening, then I'd like to spend more time on teaching and talking. But I would respect the time slot that I were given, so I would stop over here. But maybe this is a very auspicious coincidence, which would make me to come back again, and maybe again and again. So, thank you very much for your attentive attitude and very focused attention. I think maybe we'll have more opportunities next time. We'll have more auspicious connections next time. I would spend the next few minutes on giving you an oral transmission of this text on 37 practices of a Bodhisattva.
刚开始有点困，结果不用你们提醒，我现在就清晰过来了。
I was a little bit drowsy at the beginning and sleepy at the beginning. I thought I'd fall asleep, but I really didn't need your wake-up call.
下面我给大家念这个佛子行。
Now I would give you the oral transmission of 37 practices of Bodhisattva.
宣知生为学法念不知解这老人甚至说都那就说那么罗个学来也跟个就跟着我们是讲着同到就的尊重吧老们就同学了怎么拿到的各种给别上的判定中的做不上艰难当就这类兄弟这样呢对老人新来人那边也真难的老人是不是但是这也更多病的人到人可能做来的就是年东长到也让没办呢年生活本解这老人年纪中了多政治的有在出来这当面的嘛在老多这个不能嘛他们弄真拍帮我解这老人也人个方便牛毛人进只那样没别给中跟别人把单位出来给些就问把对面解这老人也让着工作去做做这人把别日本罗这些的已经中国那新中国人真的都当解这老人也刚当中那点分别解讲都从本本学完年解强的年就没别就是中文帮我解这老人也刚是对那你把在就是讲用的要我那这边解比全年当把人个里面讲基本上把解这老人让国人做人讲完一直等来一次去就不能的就是刚才讲那么那工作讲是解这老人都做跟刚刚等我那么都不能解这个特别对就做了讲对不嘞那么去解这老人主动对要在这把人也怎么就跟就不去这样那么就是在于公共就到那你来解这老人同们今年到了这也马上等到对自己下也就在甚至这些人上是去解这老人那我马里到点多嘞种做不上几千不3年中就到这些地等我到要到这解这老人是同都讲我跟到跟那但是找跟找等将来呀你当龙是定数给俺们得了我解这老人老人一般就是没真的刚到过就是那个这我个第一都不能到了人们解这老人刚到的跟我刚是到了门年拿走吧都是解不了不是现在呀现在真的来人对你急用的就把解这老人让地方卫生改是跟咱们之前这个马来呀对了给是经的是基基本的把解这老人那个人呢基本上没到了这人到了是那样一个没有那么人的老不是这吧解这老人让他们吧让他们把我们比较也俺就问个你都是那样那么人的给别当年也有人吧解这老人所以我想到的每年在这那当端记得讲了如果都到了那是这什么没吧解这老人年不是这样专门学都是那这也论这多就是讲这表话就是年不没事呢恐怕没吧解这老人人个找我人个马德人那这找我的讲别人个接那找我马德人那是找我的讲别人对就相当年这么风格让见到了解这老人不用的男子这当着这种现象这般别人也讲了这地域我不能这个帮我解这老人其实那我的这个人个3年多呢，周边大当着等你现在总他们那也老那些这老人呢，也都我也都这吧那也集体经济尊重人的这个那样对不没大家现在帮我解这老人，那个那做不能是在这地方这总啊到这的对这么的天天这边这人这的解这老人。像这都被理解当中呢，就是我不能那么就过对这那的那么那个人帮东啊解这老人。这这没不是让他们这那像他这边都把搞崩的，对这边都把没把也这种中华解这了呢，给农村都不解这，给农村当这呢，给农村都不解这了，农村当这人上在当中，对这个那现在没把也做把我们解这了呢，让他们把这个这边伢让伢不说没不来没，就是老多总统那这跟东的用的叫呢，也做的做把解这了呢。像那让这单别劳动个，你们那边就不是些那什么这类样东西把也上头光把解这老来，些人们那把着就那做不上去都不是么呢，做不上去都不是么呢，别到当当真告诉么都别些人光把解这老来，人跟吃了人跟嘛到那就不自己专门解这别对之间的人跟吃了当你帮我解这老来，你们我跟解这样到跟你把那到你年纪里都把解了，就比刚说跟你把慢慢解这了，你个光个到。个反正做就是都我们像年纪的像，在是见到人到见到那这把光啊解这老来样，怎么这个像这么这个人就是这就说是年纪的别的是人家怎么我这光啊解这老来，你们过那年不落个位展示体育，你们从中的找中你们都没给嘛，都不是说把解这老来的人呢，都那刚都说了就是讲人个身边的个现在，见到站到是真当把人都这把解这老来，这都做别这不给完那他印度都我说。Korsum number top shire tip chanjur ngwar jette lolen dor ki tanjur nam na song ba ton tamba nam ki song ko jim chang jette nam ki lolen sim chete jette lam la lom da ton lo jung na jang jang chong yi chiram ki ba di bi de jur ma shi kya ndo dong tan bi song la tem bi je te lo lan cham me lo bro gon je te shu ba la chen la lo ma no dang je tang po ka yi jen gar ta man je la su ni bi so ta ba na bi so bro za to television ge yen ro a kan to no kon zo sha zu sem jo ko ta je ta la ma le bi shan re zeng gon de dong song bro jo ji ba ran jen la pan bi ton de long da ri bar ma zeng ba to me ki ngir chi ren chen bu da jar wa wo shan zu sen jo rong bo je ma ki ba ki ki ba nyam ba ba kon le kon da me show karmara man me da dimazar wa char manam lo da ta divsi churnum ter ta churnum tan je gele jo ter ki te jo so de so gila ko ba ka ge jo chen bo dar ka ge jo chen bo dar ka do song de ba chen ma cha ja ge wa pa zum so ba de rang ka sen ne yong sun da na san ki tan ba yen kan dar ki wa tam cha tam thori yon da no to bar jo ke ma do ta chu dong cha chi zrim ju la rong yo ba 대형 라마담바 민시장 연동 참모주라 쇼거좀 출동내는 양보동도 전도 특비 양조거를 특별한 비추를 동시에 전도를 교육을 매파이 라죠 전도 조리 매파이 탐축션지 선지 토벌을 쇼下面我给大家教几遍这个咒语啊，大家跟着我念一下。
So I'll teach you a few mantras, so you repeat after me, okay?
文殊菩萨的心咒啊，Om Ara
Mantra Shri Mantra.
Om Arabazanarda Om Arabazanarda Om Arabazanarda 观音菩萨的心咒。
Avalokiteshvara's mantra.
Om Mani Padme Hum Om Mani Padme Hum Om Mani Padme Hum 然后念十的心咒。
Pamasambhava's mantra.
Om Ahum Banzarangara Padma Sirda Hum Om Ahum Banzarangara Padma Sirda Hum Om Ahum Banzarangara Padma Sirda Hum 然后杜母的心咒啊
Tada's mantra.
Om Dare 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 Suha Om Dare 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 Suha Om Dare 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 Suha 然后释迦牟尼佛的心咒
Shakyamuni Buddha's mantra.
Om Mane Mane Maha Mane Ye Suha Om Mane Mane Maha Mane Ye Suha Om Mane Mane Maha Mane Ye Suha 阿弥陀佛的心咒 Om Amandeva Ayi Sirda Hum Shi Om Amandeva Ayi Sirda Hum Shi Om Amandeva Ayi Sirda Hum Shi Om 阿弥陀佛 Ayi Sirda Hum Shi 这是阿弥陀佛的心咒
That's the mantra of Amitabha.
Om Amitabha Ayi Sirda Hum Shi 好
Good.
好好扎西德勒扎西德勒菜让罗家